AM 560. The Answer.
I can't remember nothing, no. But the good times.
You're supposed to save that for Fridays. Come on now, squirrel.
I'm so sad and lonely. But without you, my life is so dead. I'm sorry to say.
Why would you chase the hooker? Teddy fracking Pendergrass. Everybody would have bought you a Rolex. Chasing hookers in a Rolls Royce, but what a way to go. Mark, Oak Lawn.
Sean, great show. Thanks for taking my call.
Thangoing to, brother. Thank you. You're going to break my heart right now, aren't you?
I don't want to, but I'm going to try to tell you what I just saw. It was really disturbing. You know, Trump was Bush put out something about the White House legacy with George Washington, that it's so much greater than the occupant, you know, and just bashing Trump, and then he's talking about Mike Pence standing up to January 6th thugs, and he's a patriot and all this stuff, and you know what it is, Sean? He knows that Bush, that image is so important to these guys, and if Trump,
the veneer of an image, the real image of who these scum are, they never want out. But the veneer of who they want you to think they are versus who they really are. I'll just stay on the line, because every time I hear his fracking name, I want to hear it.
Today, I'm announcing new measures America is taking to implement the G7 action plan and strengthen banks across our country.
He had to break the rules of capitalism to save it, and what that scumbag
he really did. He
opened up the
all the
floodgates.
banks and all his friends and all his campaign donors, and it said it ain't going to fail, and we would have been so much better off. But he cost us $10 trillion.
And you know what else he covered up? 9% of the mortgages were delinquent. 9%.
That's right.
It was the greatest excuse ever. Not to mention the questions of what happened under his presidency in the Middle East. Not to mention all of what we know about what his legacy really should be remembered as. It's truly
Sean,
disgusting.
Sean, Halliburton and Cheney, it's almost like a comparison with Burisma and Hunter Biden. There isn't much difference between it. They're all just making money off of wars, and they're doing it illegally, and 1 million people got wiped out.
Not to mention September 11th.
Correct.
September 11th. And the legacy of who of how his family was connected with the terrorists they pinned it on. Let's not forget that. Yeah.
John, did I break your heart?
No, you just aggravated me. But that's you also complimented me, because you normally call. You only normally call in the morning. You get a great show. You never call me anymore. But all right, that's all right. It's all right. I'm used to it. Thank you very much, redheaded stepchild. Carrie, Crown Point.
Sean, the church. I understand why people don't like the morals of the church sometimes, but the Democrats and a lot of Republicans, they don't have any ethics either. So they throw everything out, and they're playing God. When I hear that they're going to kill babies, it's absolutely disgusting, because it's a communist, Marxist ideology that's destroying medicine, destroying Western civilization, and all our hopes. That's why we got to fight them.
Well, you have to understand they're capitalizing on the self-loathing nature of people. And they're pretending, they're always selling you this bull dung. And you look at these rats in Chicago. In 5 years, it's going to be great. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. In the meantime, what do they really do? So they capitalize on stupid people, and they capitalize on self-loathing people, and they capitalize on corrupt people. That's who makes up these organizations, right? So you've got the predators and the prey. But who's the great foot soldier to all collectivists, to all oligarchs and control oligarchs? Who's the real bread and butter? Are the self-loathing. The self-loathing. Why do you think when you I say it in a humorous way, but there's a reality here. Look at the people who pretended Joe Biden won. Look at them. They're so self-loathing. Look at the people who support the Democrats. The pirates that are in on the scandal are easy to spot. The Jesse Jacksons out there. But the ones who support it blindly, even though it abuses them, these are the wretched. These are the self-loathing. They don't want anything. They just don't want other people to have anything. That's the ideology of communism. Oh, of course. There's nothing more.
That's all they want.
Of course. Look at them. They're not. That's why not one Democrat Not one is outraged at the money that's been stolen from the people in the name of the people. Not one. These are the same people. Get rid of ICE. They don't care about the illegals voting. They don't care about the illegals murdering our people, the drunk illegals, the rapists. They don't care because they just want to see people. Oh, of course. But they want to see people who are better than them torn down. That's what they want. They're communists.
And Chuck Schumer, the Democrat, he wants democracy, but more people want voter ID, but he's not listening. He just wants to destroy ICE.
Chuck Schumer is a legendary scumbag. And there's a video, and I should have it on, but I don't have it on hand. It's Donald Trump, the first time he was the president, running for president, and he's doing a roast at that dinner where they make fun of each other and they make fun of themselves. Yep. And he had given Chuck Schumer $2.5 million when he was a senator because he needed that pay-to-play scheme that goes on in Chicago. He gave him $2.5 million, and Chuck Schumer is sitting there with the grin on his face going, come back with those smarmy fingers. And you look at his kids and how they're set up in the Amazon and Facebook. He is the quintessential scum of the earth. And you know what? The self-loathing, self-enriching scum in New York, they'll vote for him till after he's dead, just like if he was in Chicago. Thank you very much. Here's the clip I want to scroll.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system. I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
And you open the door for Barack and Joe Biden to bankrupt our nation. John Piatone. John, if you're lost, we will find you, John. What he was going to talk about is Halliburton. And I tell you what, I don't think it's a coincidence. Not just little Dick Cheney, but it was the other guy, too, Rumsfeld.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld. And one of the generals called me in. He said, sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second. I said, well, you're too busy. He said, no. He says, we've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq. I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me.
That's Wesley Clark. And you look at the connection between George Bush and the Clintons. Look at the connection, and then look at what happened. Look at what happened in the 90s.
This is just in the Action News. Controversial Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen, who has been living in exile in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, has died. Gulen first moved to Pennsylvania in 1999, but the Islamic spiritual leader still held sway over many Turks from afar. Turkey's
Islamic spiritual leader. Do you know who that scum of the earth really was? He's the one that was in the emails.
Now at the top, Tom Pritzker says, I don't know him very well. Here are some questions. The president of Turkey, is his goal to consolidate power? Will he use nationalism or Islamism as his rallying cry within Turkey? As for Syria, what are Russia's interests in Syria? As for Iran, will the nuclear deal hold or break down? As for the White House, how close will the presidential race need to be for the Russians to give us an October surprise?
That's Tom Pritzker talking to Epstein. And he's talking about the Middle East. He's talking about all of what really happened. And that scum isn't a cleric. He's not a peaceman. He was the original terrorist brought to the fracking Poconos.
He lives segregated and is almost never seen in public. The Muslim cleric left his homeland in 1999 and hasn't returned to Turkey since. The Turkish government says he is a terrorist. Fethullah Gulen lives and works on this 26-acre compound. The 74-year-old preacher communicates via video with the outside world. The Turkish government wants to extradite him and recently hired a renowned lawyer in the United States. He alleges human rights abuses in Turkey by Gulen's followers.
He is extraordinarily dangerous, and at the same time, he's really a cult leader. And he's somebody, I call him a plastic imam because his views change and his position changes constantly to suit his circumstances. He presents himself in the United States as somebody who believes in interdenominational faith and understanding.
A Turkish crackdown on political opponents has now spread to the United States. These pictures...
And that guy lived the rest of his miserable cult-leading life in the Poconos under the cover of our government. And that property, that 26 acres, was reported by neighbors of not just having terrorist training camp, but was owned by our CIA. 312-642-5600.
He believes in freedom, capitalism, and individual liberty. And because of that, he's become an enemy of the state. He's Sean Thompson, and this is The Sean Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.